Calon, host of Marketeers Clubhouse. Today I have, thankfully, I have tons of amazing friends. And today I have another one. She is super close to my heart. She married one of my best friends. And I couldn't be happier to have her on. And I'm planning on learning a ton today because I don't actually understand the world of talent representation, managers, agents. I don't understand this. And my guest today is Lena Lees-Heidt. It's a hyphenated last name. Welcome, Lena, to Marketeers Clubhouse. I would like to tell just a quick story about how we met.
I can't wait.
Day one, and you know this story because I've repeated it in public.
Yeah, you were the MC at our wedding, so I'm sure I've heard it.
I was the MC at your wedding. Yeah. So I was in Vancouver doing something. I think it was for the Olympics for 2010. Yep. And one of my favorite people, Derek Height, and we worked at the same company, both worked at Oakley at that time. And I'd known Derek since he was 14 or 13, something like that, as a very, very young, super mop head, curly haired snowboarder. And he called me up and he's like, Jay, you're in town. You know, I got this girl. I want you to meet her. Let's go for breakfast. Let's go for breakfast. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go for breakfast. So we meet up and I meet you. And I was first off like, Derek, you're doing good. Congratulations. She's beautiful. And I think I even said that in front of you, and very much
probably made me awkward and embarrassed.
Yeah, it made everyone awkward really quickly, but that's my style. Then we went about 10 minutes into this conversation and I said, guys, just stop. And you both sort of stopped and looked at me. I said, I'm going to be the MC at your wedding. And both of you laughed it off. And as you already said, I was the MC at your wedding. And so it was an absolute honor. I adore both of you. We've had the chance to travel. We've had lots of fun times together. That being said, I don't really understand what you do. I kind of understand what your husband does, although it's very challenging because I'm going to see him in another podcast one day. But I really wanted to dive in. I asked you before I asked Derek because I find you way more interesting and more pleasurable to talk to. Sorry, Derek Height. But you're coming from, you're situated in Vancouver. You are and I'm going to get this wrong, you're a talent manager or agent?
This is confusing. Do you want me to clear this up right out of the gate?
I want you to clear up exactly where you are, and then we're going to go way back because I want to know, once we know what you are officially, because I've used both when I talk about you. So what is your actual title?
Okay, I prefer to refer to myself as a manager. And our company is Play Management, and we prefer to operate as managers. With that said, the reason there's always an air of confusion with everybody is in the US, there is a legal and technical differentiation between an agent and a manager. In Canada, there is not. So we can call ourselves whatever we want, given the circumstances of our client, but the sort of definitions of the two, although they have become blended in recent years and very, very similar with a ton of crossover, in earlier days in the industry, there was very much a difference between the agent who was there to procure the work and get the opportunities and negotiate the deals, and the manager was there on the team to really manage the career, what's the strategy, what's the forward-thinking approach, what the schedule, the sort of minutia and the nitty-gritty of a artist, not only day-to-day, but long-term. And so there was really a place for both, and there still is. And in Canada, we don't necessarily have the liberty of like putting on the manager hat and then putting on the agent hat. On any given day, we're doing both jobs, and our American counterparts can kind of like divvy up the two. So I'm still out there hustling for my clients, getting them the opportunities, but I truly, truly enjoy the management side of it.
So if you do you have, because of the difference between Canada and the US, do you have clients from the US and you have to pick what you're going to be called in the US, or do you have strictly Canadian clients?
No, we have clients on both sides of the border. Majority of my roster is Canadian or dual. But even those Canadian homegrown citizens who now call LA home, sometimes I have to pick a title, sometimes I need to pick a lane, but it kind of depends on the team structure. If there's another agent in the mix, then I'll take the managerial role. If there's an LA, New York, whatever American-based manager, then I'll sort of take the agent role. And then again, you'll hear me interchange my title and say, I'm so-and-so's agent. But usually on a regular basis, I would prefer to sort of take that managerial title.
Okay, so you're a talent manager in Canada, and we'll just say the bulk of what you do, we can call that. And FYI, my only real knowledge of agents and managers and all this stuff in Hollywood is from Ari Gold on Entourage, which is probably the single worst place that I could have learned how agents work.
Actually, no. Derek and I watched that show together, and it's actually still one of my favorite shows. And what was fascinating about watching that show together is we laughed at different jokes, because he was sort of laughing at like the surface jokes, what would just sort of generally be funny. And then I'd be laughing at like the inside industry jokes, being like, oh, they're poking fun at a real person or a real situation. And I still a fan favorite there.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. So I'm glad I'm not too ridiculous and too off point. So we're going to have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So now that we know who you are, there are a ton of people who would love to be in your shoes. And to further this even farther, Play Management has multiple locations. Where are the different offices that you guys exist in right now?
Vancouver and Toronto, and we have people based in the Southeast as well, in Atlanta.
Okay, so you've got basically 3 spots. You're across North America. You guys are primarily, if I am correct, still a completely female-owned and partnership agency. Is that accurate?
Yep. I've got 2 co-founders who are my dear friends. You've met both of them, Trina and Vicky. And then we brought on Kaylee Harris and Mary Falcon into the partnership fold about a year and a half ago. And you have actually also met them at the wedding, and they've been with us 12, 13 years now. So there are 5 partners in total.
I have so many questions about Play and the structure and having so much estrogen in a single organization, and just like I can't wait. We're going to get there. For the young men and young women who want to get in the position where you are, how did you get there? What was your base education? Where did you find your struggles and your bottlenecks? Who was your first client? Like, I want to know, I know young Derek, your husband. And I know exactly his story. I want to understand your story, because I think stuff like becoming a talent manager, I got it right, not an agent.
Yeah,
manager. Becoming a talent manager seems kind of like a dream job. Like, so many people are like, what do you want to be? I was like, I want to be an actor. I want to be a spaceman. I want to be talent agent is actually a thing that people really think would be a cool job. And outwardly it looks fun, because you get to be in this process of creating, very outward facing art. And you get to walk by a movie marquee at a theater and go, I got to touch that. Like, it's a really, really cool thing. Can you give me a bit of your sort of genesis of where you grew up, how you got the support to get to where you did, and then any of the technical things that you had to do to get there?
Oh, okay. So how long do we have?
We got some time. I want a few minutes afterwards to talk to you, but go for it.
Okay. So I'm just going to touch on what you just said, because it's one of the reasons I actually genuinely love my job. I cannot draw a stick man if my life depended on it. Like, the artistic sort of bone was not naturally born into my body, but I love the arts. And so exactly what you just said, admittedly living vicariously through the talent and the artists that we work with is one of the reasons I love, one of the many reasons I love my job so much, because you're bang on. It's like every day is different. We've got an artistic and creative aspect of what we do, marrying business, and it's always fun. So in short, you nailed it. My origin story, I was actually born in Nelson, British Columbia, which you may not have known. And
shout out to all the hippies rocking crystals in Nelson.
Right?
Lena's out being a businesswoman.
I forgot my crystals at home today. So born in Nelson, but my family relocated to Vancouver when I was about 5 or 6. And so Vancouver's truly home. Like, this feels like home to me. It's where I currently still live, and Derek and I raise 2 children and attempting to raise children. And I found myself in the industry totally by accident. So to answer your question, I have no fancy degrees, no formal sort of training. It was a sink or swim situation, and I kind of found myself in the industry completely by accident. I didn't even know this existed. Like, when you say, like, people are out there and maybe it's thanks to Entourage, or they're like, I want to be an agent, I want to be a manager. I didn't even know this existed. So to go way back, I was a hostess at a Mexican restaurant as my high school job. After I graduated high school, I went backpacking in Australia. This would have been 99, 2000. And I came back from backpacking. I literally had $10 to my name. I was living in my parents' house. I was 19 turning 20. And I got a very corporate job. It was like so vanilla. It was like watching paint dry on a daily basis. And I was young and ambitious. And I ran into my friend, Trina, one of my co-founders and dearest friends, at the Mexican restaurant that we both worked at a few years prior. And she said to me, hey, I'm working at this talent agency. We're in desperate need of help. At that point in time, there was a strike. I want to say it was like the SAG commercial actor.
It was the TV news. Wasn't it the TV writer's strike? What seems like that's almost the exact time.
Yeah, it was right. It was right around 2000, fall of 2000 specifically. And there was a flood of work coming to Canada. And she was like, we're so busy. And keep in mind, this is still in the days of pagers, fax machines, all that business. And she's like, we just need someone to do anything and everything, like just answer phones. And I'm like, on one hand, I'm raised to like see something out and be loyal, and I just taken this new job, and I'm like, I don't know, like I just took this new job. I feel like I should commit to it. And she's like, we always say she can sell like sand in the Sahara. And she's just like, you got to come by, just come by. I'm like, okay. I walk in the office immediately. It's fast paced. It's young. It's just like everything that like is me. And I'm like, oh, I gave my 2 weeks notice. I'm at this new company almost immediately. And honestly, the rest is history. So Trina, and then our third co-founder, Vicky, our relationship really developed and blossomed under that roof. And we were together at that company from 2000 to 2006. It was a bit of like right place at the right time. I got a few promotions because there was some sort of internal personnel movement, and obviously, like, I was just hungry and excited and a hard worker, and not necessarily rocket science, but just hard work ethic. And I was clearly there to perform and learn and all that good stuff. And it became clear sort of somewhere in 2005 that our interests were not necessarily aligned with the owner of that company. And we started to make some sort of dream up some changes and plans to depart, which we did in January 2006.
So the ladies started scheming.
Yeah. Like kind of like Jerry Maguire style. We're like, we're leaving. Who's coming with us?
Oh my God.
But
I love it.
In that day, like, we're in our 20s. We don't know much about operating a business. We had, saved a bit of money and like done a bit of homework, but like it was a little bit like, okay, let's jump off this cliff and see what happens. And fortunately, a lot of our clients saw the vision. We had a lot of our clients decide to make the move with us. And so that was January 2006. And fast forward, and there was just the three of us and an assistant in the early days. And fast forward, and there's 17 of us across 3 cities now.
What would your client roster sort of number be between, I know you guys do voice acting and you do youth, and I'm sure you guys have a few other different sort of areas. Yeah. What's a roster at a sub 20 person sort of 20 person agency spread across North America? Like, what's the number that you guys would have approximately? Like, I'm sure you have hundreds of people that you service.
I mean, between all the departments and between all of the agents, we'd be in the hundreds. But I think I could say more accurately, each of us like to sit around 40 or 50, give or take.
I see that being like, I know because I've had to manage things. 40 is a lot of individual interests to manage. So to cut this really short and to put this in terms that everyone know, you worked your way up from the mailroom to get exactly where you are, and you had to do it with your skills to do it. I know you well, and your empathetic nature is something that I noticed immediately. Like you really do have a way of understanding what's happening with people without anybody actually vocalizing it. You're really good at that. I'm assuming that there's like core skills that you and Trina and everyone would have that they might be slightly different, but I would assume that that's one of your superpowers. And that's probably, like I'm assuming, and I don't want to let all the cats out of the bag here, but is that something like that you lean on? Like when I look at you, I go, I think she'd be so good at that because she would understand exactly how I'm feeling, how to break the news, how to do these things. So a lot of it is like, it's so emotional, whether someone gets a job or doesn't get a job. I'm assuming it can be just absolutely soul crushing for these people.
No, there's been tears on both ends, like the best news of the year and the worst news of the year. There's tears associated with the wins and the losses for sure. There's no question. And I think we talk internally. Trina, Vicky, Kaylee, Mary, and I all have such different strengths and such different weaknesses. We're so lucky in our partnership that we have magically, and a lot of it is luck, found a way to complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. And that's a bit of a different topic in terms of the way we run our business. But I think what's interesting and what reflects in our rosters is we have very different clients because of the way we operate. Like, although the company might have sort of our general vision and approach to how we do our business, each of our individual rosters are very different because I think each of our personalities attract different types of people. But yeah, I know, like, I like to listen. I like people. You're right. I think I am empathetic, and I can bring that to the table, I think, in a very hard-edged industry. Our clients are going out for job interviews on a daily and weekly basis and usually getting a no. Like, imagine what that feels like. You
terrible.
go for 50 interviews in a month, and most of those are going to be no. You might be lucky if there's one yes. And so you're dealing with people who have to have very thick skin, but at the same time, they're humans, and they're going to have hard days and they're going to have hard months, and they're just gonna be like, Lena, I don't know about this. Like, really, I'm putting my best foot forward every day, and this is it. So yeah, I think love for people and humans in general lends to my job on a daily basis.
I could only imagine, like, there's certain people, like, I don't want an Ari Gold. I don't want that. I want someone that's going to understand why I'm crushed at a certain point. And
some people do. Like, some people want that tough love, and some people want that, like, hustle. And, like, again, like, those might not necessarily be my clients. My approach to this is going to be different than the Ari Golds of the world.
Yeah, and thankfully, because I like you as you are.
From brand development to simple market executions, 54 Blue helps brands of all sizes grow with sustainability in mind. Their full-stack range of services include print, fabrication, design, web, interactive, content marketing, brand consulting, creative strategy, and more. Join some of the world's largest brands and lean on 54 Blue for your next go-to-market. Visit 54blue.com for more information.
I want to ask you about marketing, because you guys have, like, in essence, you guys are a giant marketing mill. And I'm just going to run down how I see it, and I could be very, very wrong. So tell me if I'm off. You guys would have to market to potential clients. So you would have to have some form of outbound and inbound way of receiving reels and all the different things. But there would also, I would assume, be targeted searches against certain people, and you would have client acquisition to get a certain tier of actor and so forth. And the bigger the actor, the more they get paid, the more you guys get paid. I think that's probably in everyone's best interest. You guys also have to market play management as a business and as an entity in the world. So you need, the industry needs to be aware of you, outside of the industry, kind of whatever. My mom doesn't need to know who play management is, but the places that you are seeding actors into and all of that groundwork to be like, oh, I know this person there, they're going to be in this casting, this, we've got a good shot. Like, these would all be relationship and all marketing in the end. Some of them turn into very great personal relationships, I'm sure, but most of them start off as marketing. You then would have your actors getting in a role, and then the marketing happening from the studio, if it's lucky enough to be a large thing, or a large, Broadway thing or whatever. And then there would be a whole series of promotion happening with your actor in it. And then I would assume, as the manager, you would be helping to make sure that your client's best interests in that marketing form. And then your client's marketing from that product standpoint would have to be taken care of, which is another tier. And then as a manager, not as an agent, you would also be like tracking these guys, all the guys and gals, social media. What are they doing on Facebook? What are they doing here? You can't do this. You can't do that. We need to book you at a personal appearance here. We need to, keep you hot and move you through these different tiers. So it's funny, because when I first asked you to do this, you said, I don't think I've got anything to talk about.
Yeah, I'm like, what do I have to do with marketing? But
Yeah.
as summarizing this, I'm thinking yes.
Yeah, it literally is all marketing. And you guys sit in the middle of negotiations, and then you sit as sort of the stewards of these personalities to make sure that they get treated right, so they get maximum growth. And that maximum growth from an empathetic side is for the person, from a business side as play management is income. And you guys want them, like, every, if it's 50,000, that's great. If it's $100,000, well, that's double, and double is great. Mm-hmm. And so with all these different tiers of marketing going on, you're handling your own 40 in this world. Do you have, do you dedicate certain, do you have team members that help you backfill this stuff? Are you looking at, how do you even do it? So you'll have, let's say at any given point, if you've got 40 actors, you may have 20 in play on any given day, and that would rotate through really quick. Yeah. How are you staying on top of crazy social media activity, promotions from studios or from the plays, or on and on and on? It's a lot. And I've talked to your husband about this, and he's just like, it's crazy. She's on the phone all the time. So can you run that down? Because I am going to guarantee that nobody really knows. Let's just pretend it's me. I'm an actor, and I come and see you, and I give you a reel of whatever variety, and you're like, Jamie, we want to represent you. What happens from that point on?
Okay. Oh, fun. Okay. So we would look at you and chat with you about goals, and whether that's your goal in the next 6 months, your goal. I like to sort of do the 1, 3, and 5, because sometimes, again, you draw that lucky card and you get a winner out of the gate and like you're kind of off to the races. But
Sure.
in a lot of, I would say, more typical situations, you're dealing kind of like with a 1, 3, 5-year program, and everybody is different. Some people are like, I love Vancouver. I just want Vancouver to be my home. I'm a family man. I just want to be making a steady income. There's other people who are like, I love horror. I want to star in like the next Saw franchise. Okay. Or like, no, I've got stars in my eyes and I intend to be in LA and I intend to be in the next James Cameron movie. So like,
Right.
you know, we have to clarify, first of all, what everybody is after. And every story and every circumstance is different. And of course, we manipulate and adjust that as we go. But that's sort of my initial start. And then we look at the marketing. You know, what are we working with? Are you 14 and just entering this business? Are you 25 and maybe some people love you, some people don't love you, and we need to sort of, you know, do some relationship mending? Do you have any social media presence? I mean, social media has obviously changed the game for better or for worse in terms of our clients. And finally, people have smartened up about, you know, posting your party photos on a Friday night is probably not going to do well with Hallmark. Because
I'll take down the photos of you, me, Derek, and Harper Lee in Greece, if that helps.
You.
I'll take those down.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we all have skeletons in our closet. But so yeah, what's your, and some people are really anti-social media, and that's okay. Like, we have to be okay with that. Not everyone can have 2 million followers, and not everyone enjoys engaging on those platforms. And so it's like, okay, it's maybe we're operating at a bit of a disadvantage, but we'll work with it. So we're looking at all of those materials in terms of marketing someone. And I think our approach and our strategy in marketing people has had to adjust drastically. I don't know about quickly, but like, the world has changed and media in general has changed. The pandemic has changed. Like, I think we've experienced more change in our jobs and our roles and responsibilities more in the last 3 to 5 years than in the 20 years I've been doing this. It's just, a lot has happened. Right. You're not getting people on the phone, you know, whether or not you like cold calling or not is part of our job, or was part of our job. But people are less inclined to pick up the phone. Just email me. And it's so hard to just call and essentially sell and pitch your client when you can't get somebody on the phone. So then you're left sending emails. Did they check the email? But right. now our pitch material, this marketing material you're talking about, has become extra important. Like, what is that headshot looking like? Do we have the most up-to-date reel, the most up-to-date material on the jobs they've done? If not, what are we using in lieu of? And we sort of use like a bio or a 5 or 6 line pitch that just sort of summarizes this person and where they're at and what they've been doing. And that stuff has to be like amazing, because we've shifted to strictly digital. I mean, 90% digital audition process. Thank you to the pandemic. So now, you know, someone like yourself, Jamie, who's, you know, great in a room and you're super confident and, you know, you can sell yourself in front of a producer director, you no longer have that opportunity because everybody is taping in their basement at home, and you hope the director or the casting director or producer or whoever's watching it is watching more than the first 5 to 10 seconds of it, because
does that, have you guys noticed that that's eroding that obviously is eroding the ability to get a very charismatic person who will bring something different to it in? Is it making more cleaner lines and channels? Like, okay, you know, I'm a producer. We're looking for, you know, a girl next door, blonde, 5'8", Southern accent. And like, they're just like dead fixed on what this is. And because they don't have the chance potentially to go through the in the room experience, I got to assume that like leads to error.
It's more competitive than it's ever been, honestly. Wow. Like Again, I love my job, but we and our team and my colleagues, it is so competitive because you used to have, I don't know, let's take a guest star on Riverdale, maybe 20 people auditioning for that opportunity. And now there's 60 people auditioning for that opportunity. And you're not getting that face time. You're not getting that moment to kind of step outside of the box and make yourself stand out in the room. And so there's so many lengthy pros and cons, as I'm sure we can all agree in all industries, in terms of how the pandemic has shaped our world now. But that's definitely been an area where we've had to chat internally in terms of like, how do we make our clients pop and stand out in this like crazy competitive market? And then having those conversations with our clients. And it's still relatively new, and we're asking a lot of questions of the producers, of the casting directors, of the directors, of the studio execs, the people who are actually making these decisions. Like, how can we make our clients pop? What's going to be the game changer between the 40-year-old white guy?
So when you guys are doing this, and you're primarily targeting, now I know you've got a fairly good roster of young actors. And I know that much about what you do. What is you end up having to deal then with a more complicated landscape, because you will have stage parents, or maybe great parents that just don't turn into crazy stage parents, which are close to hockey parents, which are close to ski parents, which are, a little bit of everything. But that you're contracting and you're signing all contracts through an adult and then working with these young actors. That extra layer of the parents in there, I'm sure, can be a blessing or it can be a curse. What is why kids? I guess that's my first question. Why absorb that extra layer, whether it's good or bad in any situation? It can fluctuate, but what's the reasoning behind that? Was it there was room in the market, or you just love seeing that young kid? A
bit of both. There's definitely joy in that. I mean, there's certainly challenges dealing with, families and family dynamics, but it's less it's less competitive, based on what we were just talking about. It's much easier to have a really interesting, cool 15-year-old kid pop versus the 30-year-old female who's been at this for so long, and she is the blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl next door with the Southern accent, but she's got 1,000 competitors out there. My 15-year-old does not have 1,000 competitors out there. Right. So we're narrowing the margins, and interestingly enough, I started with kids, but all my kids are adults now, and I have a handful of kids, and I really enjoy, from where I'm at in my career. I really enjoy that process. I tend to pick and choose very carefully the families I work with, because there is a great joy in that. They're not, necessarily doing it for money. They're not doing it for the star power. They're not doing it because they have a mortgage to pay. They're doing it because they love it. And they're doing it like they would hockey or gymnastics or riding their bike on the weekend. It's a true passion. And those are the families who I tend to choose to work with. And that's really fun. I called a girl last week. There were tears. It was the cutest phone call ever. She's screaming in the background. Those are amazing phone calls. I don't care if I make $15 on that. I've just made some 13-year-old girl's year. That's fun.
That is fun. And it's got to be fulfilling on so many different levels.
We're not here for the high rollers, snooty wine critics, or long-haul collectors, but we do think it's about time wine cellars turned into swoon-worthy works of art. Our experienced designers will bring your dream wine cellar to life, fitting any sized space and aesthetic requirements in your home. Our craftsmen carefully hand-build your cellar to give you a wine storage space that really feels like you. Visit themoderncellar.com for more information.
Speaking of the talent that you currently have, what are what's in production that you can talk about that you have some actors in? What is recently released in the last year or two? What are, some of your biggest successes? I don't know if you want to bring up, like, if you can go into anything that's in that world, but I know that you've had some actors placed in some great movies and productions and stuff. So do you have anything that you want to reference through that and sort of shout out any of your people?
I would love to talk company-wide, because I think that the reputation of our company has truly been based on our team approach. And whether it's my roster or one of my colleagues' roster, we've got so many people out there doing amazing things. And there's a handful of things right now in the forefront that are like super exciting. We have a handful of people in the mix for Oscar-nominated films, which for a Canadian-based firm is like really exciting for us.
Amazing.
Trina has a client by the name of Danielle Deadweiler, who will likely get a nomination for Best Lead Actress for her performance in this movie called Till. And Mary, my colleague, he's originally hailing from Vancouver, a young Vancouver boy by the name of Gabe LaBelle, who plays the young Steven Spielberg in The Fabelmans. And he actually just won Best Breakout or Best Up-and-Coming Performer at the Critics' Choice Awards this weekend. And obviously, anyone attached to a Steven Spielberg film is exciting, let alone when you're playing the young Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then the other one is Vicky's client, actually, a young girl named Kate Hallett, who is in Sarah Polley's film that's getting a ton of attention right now, Women Talking. So this is
awesome.
This is one of the first years, after 17 years, where we've got 3 people involved in potentially, they're already award-winning productions, but, the nominations for the Academy Awards are coming out in a couple of weeks here, and we're really excited to see where that takes us. And we're really proud. We're really proud of those accomplishments. It's a big deal.
How could you not be? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to the ladies crushing it at play. Good job. That's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of hard work and a lot of teams involved in that, but this is going to be, it's already an exciting first couple of months for us here.
Yeah, that's going to be unbelievable. And we're 16 days into,
right?
17, 18 days into January is when we're recording this. This is pretty good to be that positive about the year. That's awesome. Speaking about the roster and who you guys have, as I've referenced, you guys are all, it's a fully female owned and run business. I've met the bulk of all of you, and you're all delightful. You're all very different. And you guys all mix in and work really well with each other. Was it a conscious effort to be, we're going to be a female managed business, or did it just happen by that's, who you guys were gravitating and hanging out with at the time?
Yes, and it was a strategic choice. And we were way ahead of the curve in terms of female-led businesses, but no, it was sort of coincidental, if I'm going to be honest. And so many people ask, like, oh my gosh, like that amount of women, like, originally just the 3 of us and now the 5 of us, like, how does that work? Like, dynamics and all of that. But what I think is very unique and often advice I give to young entrepreneurs is I didn't necessarily go into business with my friends. Our friendship blossomed out of working together. So we first and foremost knew how each other operated on a daily basis in terms of our work ethic and our integrity and our approach, and our friendship came from that. So it wasn't just like a couple of girlfriends sitting around having wine being like, let's start a company together. It was quite the opposite. With the exception of Trina, who I knew at a Mexican restaurant when I was 17. And
God love burritos, right? They brought you together.
Oh no, we still bond over a good margarita. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And then same with Kaylee and Mary, I mean, they were working with us for 10 years, and we knew that they would be strong additions to our partnership. But again, those relationships and now some of my truly dearest, closest friends really blossomed out of working under the same roof together.
Amazing.
Versus the opposite. Because I can't attest or necessarily recommend to a bunch of friends getting together and starting a business together. Like, I can see that having all sorts of red flags and issues associated with it, but it's not how the evolution of our partnership came together.
Well, it's amazing that's where you guys got to, because it doesn't always work that way.
No.
No, it just doesn't. Speaking about, like, I just want to dwell and go back a little bit to your actors that are out crushing it right now. Your artists are out doing it. And it goes back to one of my original sort of marketing questions. There's going to be a ton of press against these artists at this point. Do they come to you? Like, how do you guys help your artists manage that? And then do you guys have like a little bit of wiggle room? Do you get like, does the studio, and I know the answer is probably no, but does the studio come to you and go, hey, we're going to be focusing on your actor for the next, like, big sort of tranche of marketing, here's the 4 photos we're going to do. Which one would you like? Like, do you get optional things here to help guide the growth of your artists?
It's more collaborative than that. And to be honest, when we've got clients, even a series lead on a Hallmark show, we're bringing a publicist onto the team. Like, there's no question. Again, like, I'm going to have the experience and the knowledge in terms of the publicists who we know and trust and are going to do a good job. And I'm going to have an opinion on, when those photos come in and the marketing tools that they're using. And we as a team will discuss, like, not really looking for this look and this vibe. Like, this isn't really what we're going after here. And that will be a very collaborative process. But when you get to a certain level, you're definitely bringing on a publicist to help steer that train for sure.
I love it. Speaking of Hallmark, I've got 2 pitches I'd like to give to you that you can pass on to Hallmark. First one is obviously a Christmas movie called Flipping Over the Holidays, where a sexy, construction guy is working and he's flipping a house with his friend who's a female, and they're friends but not dating, right? And it just sort of goes awry. They hate each other and they're back in love, but it's like, just imagine House Hunters with Hallmark. It's going to be beautiful. Flipping Over the Holidays. My second one is called X-Mess, and it's like motocross but Christmas, and it's all extreme sports.
Well, look, Hallmark's taking on a whole new brand themselves. You might have something there.
I pitched, I think, because I had an elbow surgery. I think I showed you, there's one of the elbow surgery scars at Christmas. And so I sat on the couch eating, I didn't want to take the hard drug. So I sat and I ate weed gummy bears because it hurts like hell for days and days and days. And I literally probably watched 5 or 6 full days of Hallmark Christmas movies. So I've got a lot of pitches in this genre.
Okay, well, 2 things. First of all, I guarantee you would have watched like a large handful of our clients, because Hallmark loves shooting in Canada. You probably start to recognize a lot of the same locations. So between Toronto and Vancouver, it's a staple for us, and I'm very grateful for them. And second of all, you figured out the equation pretty quickly. Like, it's formulaic.
It's amazing. And the actual good ones are great. Like, if you're just sitting there watching something for entertainment, there's nothing wrong with those love stories. They're great.
Yeah, they are. They're real feel good. Well, if we can talk offline after
Oh my God, I'm such a knucklehead. Okay, so you touched on the next thing I want to ask you about. So you're sitting in Vancouver right now. I'm sitting in Calgary, Alberta. They just released a TV show called Last of Us, which is HBO's most expensive show that's ever been filmed. It is their largest production ever done. And it is centralized and filmed in the Alberta, BC, Toronto Vancouver, but primarily, I believe, Alberta was its
majority
main home. And God love them. The first episode was fantastic, and it's Calgary. It doesn't look like a wasteland. They did a great job of making it look like a wasteland. And some people might call Calgary a wasteland, but it's my city and I love it. But thanks for that. Thanks to them for bringing this through. I know that Derek and his company at RVRD, Revered Cinema, right up behind me. They had a social post where they got to shout out some of their work that went on there. The heat. So the business in Canada is only growing. And I know that Vancouver is loosely referred to as Hollywood North, I believe, is kind of like the kitschy sort of thing. Are you like, this can only help your business? Like, this has got to be so ridiculously exciting for you guys, because there would just be an ocean of film work happening. What does that future look like? And this is more of a general industry question. Why is Canada doing a good job of marketing itself to Hollywood and New York, wherever the productions are coming from? How are they doing such a good job of dragging them up? What's the spin?
Well, I mean, for decades now, since the 80s, there's been tax incentives, right? You've got provincial and federal tax incentives. And then, although over the years we've seen it dip and we've seen it plateau, but the currency exchange, right? Like, you're talking multi-million dollar budgets. I mean, The Last of Us is just like next level. And tax credits aside, you take 25 to 30% and add it to your budget with the currency exchange. That's appealing. And so that's where, to my knowledge, in sort of the late 80s, when they were shooting 21 Jump Street on the west side of Vancouver, that's sort of where
Johnny Depp,
yeah. But in addition to that, in recent years, talk about reputation, like the infrastructure, the crews get worldwide recognition for their abilities and capabilities. The infrastructure in terms of the studios, the state-of-the-art studios being built. Edmonton has a huge new one, actually.
I believe that's right. Yep.
Yeah. Vancouver, we're actually busting at the seams. What's going to be our biggest fallback in the next little while is max capacity, and literally running out of room to house these productions interested in coming here. Toronto's growing at a rapid pace in terms of infrastructure. They're just buying up like lots and empty studio space for years to come, because there is such a demand. And we really noticed a peak in that business. We were industry fortunate enough to bounce back relatively quickly after the hit of COVID in March 2020. Right. We were back up and running by late June that year.
Canada was before the US, if I'm correct, right?
100%.
Way before.
Yeah, way before. Industry-wide, we have the resources, aka the money, to sort of do the testing and figure out all the mandatory government needs and the protocols. Like, we just had the resources to throw at it. And when we say we, I mean royally. It wasn't, us. It was sort of the unions and the producers and everyone coming together to really make that happen. And Derek and I are both so grateful for that, because being a dual income household from the same industry, that really could have gone either way.
Yeah, that I had a couple of great conversations with Derek, where he was just like, he's an optimist beyond optimist in lots of situations. No, it'll be fine. It's this. And he was spinning like a top, but in behind that, I could see the holy shit.
One way or the other, but we course corrected very quickly. And if you recall, the numbers were just like out of control in states like California and New York. And our number, I mean, we simply don't have the populations to begin with. And so even with that 10-day quarantine, productions were flowing up to Canada. The commercial industry was really hurt. The on-camera live action commercial industry was really hurt because they 10-day quarantine or 2 weeks or whatever it was made 0 sense when you're here to shoot a commercial for 3 days. So that aspect of the business was certainly affected. But film and television, it was fantastic. Honestly, we're so lucky.
Yeah, when the Canadian government looks at hockey and making movies, they want to get people across that border as quick as they can and do it. And they did a good job, I think, in both those sort of realms.
From our perspective, it was painful sometimes, but we can't complain. We ended up on top.
Yeah, and very much so. Both of you are, I don't want to dwell on Derek's company because this is about Lena, but I know both of you are exceedingly successful, and you guys have not even bounced back. You guys just kept accelerating out of that, which is unbelievable.
We were
Yeah, well, no, it's funny, actually. Sure, you can say that, but I actually don't believe that. You guys worked hard, and in the background, and it's the same as my company. Like, all my companies accelerated out of it. And it wasn't because we sat back and went and fooled around. No, me and my partner, Mark, and me and Greg, we dug in as hard as we could, and we went and prospected, and we went and created new divisions, and we just went hard. Yeah. There was no days off in COVID.
I never had people doing puzzles and drinking wine at 3:00 in the afternoon. Like, that shit was driving me crazy. I was like, who are these people? This is like madness. So no, that was not me.
Yeah, there's none of that happened. So luck had, opportunity was seen, and you grabbed it. And that's how you come out of those things, accelerating like crazy. Like, you hit the ground, your wheels were spinning so fast. Yeah. Speaking of COVID, I know dealing with needy clients, and God, I love my clients, but some are needy, and dealing with the marketplace and all these different things. I found I could work remotely pretty easy. We were already in Calgary with the business I do. We're doing marketing for clients all over North America. I would assume before COVID, you were a very touchy-feely, travel-y kind of world. And it would have been tough, like holidays. I know you and Derek, you guys would get holidays, but you also worked ruthlessly in between all these things. Since COVID happened, was there some changes in work practice and acceptance of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. The switching, first of all, internally to a work from home culture, like the logistics of it were easy. I mean, as far as we're concerned, as long as we have internet, a phone, and a computer, like, we can do our business. That's all pre-COVID. Like, as long as you had those things at your fingertips, you could pretty much work from wherever. I think culturally, as a small business, I'm very interested to see where this work from home trend, and I know it's changing. I was just reading this morning, there's a lot of companies essentially demanding people get back into the office, but there's so much tacit knowledge that is learned, whether it's listening to somebody senior talk a client off the ledge, whether it is taking an earful from a producer and navigating that graciously and professionally, whether it's just like yelling out in the office, like, hey, I just got off the phone with so-and-so. Like, there's so much that we're forgetting that is exchanged on a daily basis when you're shoulder to shoulder with somebody, and just the basic water cooler talk in terms of like bonding with our employees and connecting with one another. And so I'm just old school. I mean, I like that. I like getting out of my house. I like coming into my office. I understand the pros of working from home, but I think it'll be really interesting to see how that affects all companies and all industries' growth moving forward, because I can't necessarily oversee and mentor how my young up-and-comers are handling difficult situations. I'm trusting and I'm hoping that while they're on the comfort of their couch, they're navigating those conversations as we as a company like them to. Certainly in terms of attendance at bigger public events, we're just really getting back into the swing of that. Sure. I was actually doing a set visit out there in Calgary on a Hallmark show, and I was like scrambling at the last minute to like find a face mask because production was still testing regularly, face masks for everybody. Like, we're still very much in that mindset. And I find like an Air Canada like thing and I throw it on last minute and I get in there and I get one look from the COVID safety team, like into the radio, we need like, it's like called out for my like shitty face mask. But yeah, I like think we're at the tail end of all that bananas stuff we were dealing with, but our industry is very also heavily reliant on insurance. And so the insurance aspect of COVID was probably one of the most difficult aspects in terms of recovering. And so we're still dealing with a lot of that kind of stuff.
Which makes sense because it is a tricky thing. And these are, not to call them expensive people, but expensive people with...
well, there's a lot on the line. Like
there's a lot on the line. It's like hockey players. They get paid a lot. If they're missing their work, it's a problem. And there's insurance against that. And it's just, everything is stacked up. Like, it's crazy. You have to wear a mask everywhere, but Tom Cruise can ride his motorbike off of a giant jump 10 times in a row on a single day. And they're just like, that's great, Tom. Good. Yeah. You want to do it again? Let's do it again. One more time. And I do. Like, that's just crazy.
So true.
Does your brand need some help in the trade marketing department? Manage your sales tools with Regulator's easy-to-use features. Whether it's fixtures or displays, POP, custom art or promo products, you can submit single or bulk orders for all your locations within minutes, using a simple, streamlined process. Deliver content, manage your budget and view the market, all from the palm of your hand. Move up to 10 times faster than your competitors and capture all the opportunities that put your brand on top. Visit brandregulator.com for more information.
So technically, digital actors are a thing. This is one of the last things I want to dig into. And because I don't understand it. I saw Avatar the other night, and there's like, it's obviously a ton of CGI layered over top of actors, and it's well done, and it is what it is. That being said, I believe that movie is solidly an hour too long. However, I literally have an AI platform that I can type a script into, a paragraph into, and an AI actor reads it back to me, and it is evident that it's an AI actor.
Okay.
However, if like on first pass, if I showed it to my mom wouldn't think so. She would be like she'd be like, oh, okay. Like, and no offense to my mom, but like, if you weren't looking for it, there's some issues with the speech. There's some, cause it's an AI generated speech, but it's like, it's really good.
Yeah.
And so there's, Avatar-esque. James Cameron can, he is famous, in Entourage, there's a scene where he's getting ready to film a movie with the main character in it, and they were talking about something. He goes, "Oh, don't worry, there won't be actors in 15 years." And everyone was like, but he's not actually that far off. It's shocking, but that's kind of like, there's no way that will ever fully replace it, but it is a thing that exists out there. And like, there's like with the CGI generated stuff that can get overlaid on an actor, a job is a job is a job. So I think if you're in a James Cameron movie and you're overlaid in blue, at that point, you don't care. You're like, nope, that's me. What is the, like, I know that there's actors want to be seen. They want their face to be seen, and they like, there's value against growing their own personality in the marketplace and being visualized. Is there, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Digital actors freak me out a little bit.
Like, is there a concern? Are you asking like if that's like a concern or a topic?
Yeah. Like, are you guys actually like, does anyone talk about that? Is that a thing?
No, not, and maybe I'm sheltered, but I don't think I am. I think I'm pretty in tune with where our industry is at. I think like anything, there will be a market and a demand for that. There will always be a market for sci-fi. There will always be a market for fantasy, horror, like drama, comedy. Like you're going to always have Hallmark. Like you're always going to have audiences that enjoy that. Is it my cup of tea? Is it your cup of tea? Like I'm not really interested in watching an AI actor, but it will exist. And I think that there will be a home for it, but I have zero worry about it replacing actors altogether.
Yeah, I would hope you're right. Have you played around with Chat GPT yet? It came out when you were on your Christmas holiday, so I'm going to assume you haven't. I would implore you to go Google this and do something fun. Google it if you get into it, because there seems to be a giant lineup to get into this platform. So just Google Chat GPT. And when you go there, do something fun. Go write me a song lyric.
I just read about this in the news yesterday. They're like cracking down on this because it's writing like essays for kids in school.
You have no idea. It's like, it's so ridiculously easy to abuse. Now it's funny because the game's on. So this, for anyone out there, ChatGPT is an AI central around language. And so you can do stuff like this. You can go in and say, write me a Snoop Dogg song in the style of Maroon 5, right? And it'll take those two things and it will cross-reference both of them and merge them. And it will be like, you'll get a Snoop Dogg song that sounds like Adam Levine wrote it. It's like, it's insane. It's insane. And not like, I dumped in a whole bunch of my content just to see what would happen. And I said, lengthen it, shorten it, do this, do that, do this. And it was so ridiculously accurate. And it's not, you can access it through the internet, but ChatGPT AI doesn't have ability to go to the internet itself and search. So anything it has has been very curated and pre-fed, but its knowledge is insane.
That's frightening.
So it's interesting because it's a really quick and hilarious rabbit hole, because you could literally go to it and go, write me a Hallmark movie script
called Flipping Christmas.
Called Flipping Christmas. And you go, it's about a construction man and his partner, who's a female, slowly falling in love over a construction thing. And it will like give you a fairly outline of what this is.
That's more concerning for the writers than anybody else. Jeepers.
So it's interesting because it's easily enough identified by other software systems now. So someone's already, like, Google has a way of being like, nope, that's AI written, and that this is not. So
this is the article I was reading because, Stanford and some of the major universities are having to crack down on this, but now there's the anti-app. I know it's not an app, but anti-AI to detect, which are essentially AI generated and human generated.
And there's, because I went down the rabbit hole even deeper, because I own a tech company, and my partner and I, Greg, were talking about this a lot. There is other programs that you take your Chat GPT and you wash it through these other programs, and it makes it completely impossible to tell if it was AI. Yeah, it's like, it's shocking that that's where we're at. And I find it, anyways, I find it amazing. And our world is, my producer Jazz, who writes a bunch of content and does a bunch of work with us, I showed her Chat GPT, and she almost fell off her chair. She's like, my job. And I'm like, no. It's just another amazing tool that's going to exist. That's going to make everyone's life easier. And Chat GPT isn't there to write books. Chat GPT is there. The goals for that will be way more lofty. And it's not like kids writing essays, although that would be a really, if you were on it and you had an essay due in December, boy, that would have been great timing. Now they'll catch you. So,
but media is changing. Media is ever evolving. I like to think of it as sort of half glass full. It's an exciting time to be alive, and if you can embrace it and kind of look at what it can bring us as not only as industry but as consumers, it's pretty cool.
It's crazy. I'm not a half glass full. I'm a glass fully full and blowing over the top and it's just spilling out kind of guy. I think that there's so much, like if someone wants to start another company exactly the same as my two companies, go for it. There's so much opportunity for everybody that there's no way in any really world that we live in today that is going to hurt anything. There's so much. I want everybody, all the rising tides make all the boats float. And this technology that exists out there, of course, there'll be bad uses of these, deep fake technology right now lives in terrible crap, like altering media and digital porn and all these crazy things. But deep fake technology is unbelievable. And there are great uses for these types of things. And so, like if you can bring back a dead actor and put them into a movie that they're trying to extend the length of the movie on, why not? Like, that's amazing. You're paying the estate of the actor, right? You're going to be like, money's getting generated. These things can go on. And there's nothing wrong with that stuff. I think it's really, really cool. Like, hell, I like to see young Luke Skywalker in a movie. That was amazing. Or, it was a TV show. And I think that's really neat. Okay. I've asked you tons of questions on, the Clubhouse. In the Clubhouse, there's a safe zone, and it's the cool confessional. And today I got a doozy for you. I saved one.
Oh, okay.
So,
does it have to involve tears? Because there seem to be a lot of tears so far.
No. This is just something that you like. I do so many dumb, embarrassing things. A lot of it is crying. Men aren't really supposed to. I looked at Harper, my wife, the other day. We were watching something. And she turned around and looked at me. I had a tear rolling down. She's, oh, and I'm like, Harper, if you just didn't react like that, men would cry way more. We'd be way more emotional if there wasn't this like giant thing every time we're emotional. So please, ladies, I've said this before. Just like let us be emotional. Okay,
let you shed that tear.
Yeah. Speaking of emotional, here's my confessional for the day. So this is a twofer. Because you're so great, you're getting a double.
I'm lucky.
Yeah, and it's an odd one. So I love music, tons and tons of music. I've said I'm a huge performing arts fan. Harper and I go go to the ballet, all sorts of different concerts and stuff. We love it, love it, love it, love it. I've been going down a bit of a musical rabbit hole where I like go back to some of the older like popish style music. And I'm like, that attracted me when I first heard it on the radio. I want to go back and listen to this. And I'm getting sort of schooled in music a little bit, and I'm understanding how things work, and I can break down songs and listen to the intricacies. And this is the 2-4. I am super, super in love with a song from Train called Drops of Jupiter. It was a monster hit.
Okay.
Monster hit, Drops of Jupiter. And it's even more embarrassing. It's an interesting song. I was like, I don't know why I'm attracted to this. It's like this crazy pop song.
Right.
I looked into it, and when you listen to it on the surface, it's a song about sort of jilted love.
Okay.
Right. And you dig into it, and it's not about jilted love. It's about the songwriter, Pat Monahan, had a dream just after his mom died from cancer, and it was his mom's ghost traveling around the stars and coming back to him and judging him as a person and his internal self-worth of being not good enough in the world. And it's
you did go down the music rabbit hole. Holy smokes.
It's like stunningly beautiful. Not only is it actually an amazing composition in the world of pop music, it's beautiful. It's like really, really an interesting song. Now, the twofer, the version of it. No, that's the start. Now, the version I really love of that song is a live version from Taylor Swift.
Oh, good old T-Swift.
T-Swift, which I've ignored Taylor most of my life. And I'm having a real hard time now ignoring her because I may have a little crush on Taylor. So the best part about her version of this is, one, she takes the song and she slightly alters the words so it actually becomes a jilted lover song. Shocking from Taylor Swift that she's singing about a relationship gone bad and she's the hurt one.
Shocking. Off-brand. Totally off-brand.
Yeah, totally off-brand for her. But not only that, but there's a spot, and I implore everybody to do this. Her voice is perfect. She has this like really tight, almost imperceptible vibrato all the way through it. Everything is pitch perfect. It's beautiful. Just her playing a guitar. It's great. Partway through, it's so cringy and so tragic. She hits one of the main points in the song, pauses partway through the song, the crowd goes crazy, and she does this like little like super.
Oh, no one can, well, unless people are watching, but if people are listening, they can't see what you just did. This little,
it's this like, yeah, it's this cringy little, I'm so fucking awesome, and I know it, Taylor Swift look. And it's funny because it's so bad, but it makes me like her more. And that is like, it's unbelievable. Because it
like,
just like,
I don't give a fuck kind of woman. She was like, yeah, look at what I'm doing, people.
That's exactly it. And she's just like, not only did she change the song, which she does a beautiful version of it, she makes it hers. She throws in this like little tiny cringy thing, which is like super quick. But it's driven me down the Taylor Swift, even though I know that she is like somehow massively unlovable as a, like, she can't keep a boyfriend, whatever the problems with Taylor are.
Right. Oh my God.
The attraction level that gave me was like off the chart. I was just like, I got to listen to more of her music. So anyways,
I'll be listening to that song on the way home and I'll report back.
Yeah. And I want you to watch it on YouTube and see that little cringy moment, because somehow it just makes it so much more Taylor Swift. It's amazing.
And then second of all, now I'm just picturing you getting like hyped to get on the tennis court or on the bike trail, and you're going to be like jamming out to Taylor Swift.
It's I'll be real clear, on the bike, it's Jay-Z all day, forever.
All right, fair.
All day, every day. Taylor makes it into like, well, there's a lot of really random playlists. If anyone ever jumps into my headphones and grabs them, it's might be shocking what I listen to. And more of that will get released. So that's my my absolute cringeworthy, no tears, just a straight up. Okay. I love Trains, Drops of Jupiter, and even more love it live from Taylor. Okay. So embarrassed. Anyways, stripping off everything that anyone could hold against me. What do you got for me? Do you have anything for me in the confessional today?
Well, I was actually talking to Derek about this, and I was throwing around a few. I mean, him and I have known each other 20 years, so there's not a whole lot that he doesn't know about me. But did you know that I was raised on a hippie commune?
No, but that's so awesome. And it somehow doesn't surprise me, but it so surprises me. It's awesome.
Going back to being raised in Nelson with the hippies and the crystals and all of that. Yeah. My parents actually met on this commune outside of Nelson. And there was at any given time, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 families living on this 80-acre property. And that's how I was raised.
A little ashram in Nelson, crushing out babies.
Yep. Like any sort of stereotypical thing you would imagine, that's what our family photo albums look like.
Oh my God. So if nobody knows, Nelson, BC is a stunningly beautiful little town nestled in between a bunch of monster mountains. They're slightly lower altitude, so the snow they get is unbelievable. Their skiing conditions are world class all the time. Yep. But it is like, if you've ever been to Sedona in the US, it's like Sedona. So like it is brimming with aura readers and patchouli and crystals. And like, I can only imagine legalized weed in Nelson is like literally rolling down the streets on carts at this point.
Or even a joke.
It's unbelievable. But it's an absolute place that I think everyone should go and visit, because Nelson is stunning through that area. So,
and I grew up in a little community called Winlaw, and there are a couple of random people that have actually kind of come out of that community in terms of the film industry, but it'd be hard to find on a map. But yeah, that's my little cool confessional for the day.
I love it. I can't wait to have your husband on and get his, because he has lots of things in life to be embarrassed about. None of which are you. You and your children are the shining glory of Derek Height's life.
It all predate the year 2003 when we met, I would hope.
You promised me not to ask you about renovations.
Oh, God.
In your home. And I'm not asking you. I'm just telling you that I'm going to ask Derek about renovations in your home. And it'll be a very interesting conversation. Derek is, I don't even know how to say it. He's insane.
DIY, and he takes so much. I give him credit. He takes so much pride and so much joy. And to his credit, he's actually quite skilled at it.
No. But you missed one. He takes. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. He takes so much pride. It's all done with love, but he also takes so much time,
which he does not have any of.
Yeah, which he works a ton. There's so many endless stories from Derek on that, including I'm going to find out why he forced his wife, that was very pregnant, to live on a boat.
Yeah, that's a great story for your interview.
Yeah, I'd like to actually get to the bottom of that because, one, you are an angel for putting up with him, as is my wife.
I've heard this many times.
Yeah, both of you know that you are, which is problematic for us because if you know you're angels, it's hard for us to pull anything. So anyways, God bless you and everyone that exists around you because you have made my life better. Lena, thank you.
Well, I wish you guys were closer. I wish we were all closer to each other. I miss you guys.
Yeah, we will enjoy a summer on a tennis court somewhere once my elbow heals and you get a few minutes to travel. We'd love to have you out to the ranch. Thank you for answering all my silly questions. I know a lot more about what you do and how you do it. And I think everybody out there will enjoy it. I think there's probably a ton of young women that would be super inspired on how you've moved through it, how you do it with such grace. You don't have to be, you're the exact opposite of a ball busting businesswoman. You do it with grace and kindness. And I've seen you be tough, but like you're
with love, love.
You move with love. Thanks for being on, everyone. Thanks for joining Marketeers Clubhouse. We'll be back with another episode at some point. Probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll be releasing another one. Lena, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Really fun.
Take care.